All right. So, welcome, Girtar, and many congratulations on your current success of getting a new role, a very big role in Asia Pacific, as well as getting this 50% hike by following the modules, the learnings of the career acceleration, mastery, and leadership. So, we would like to understand the story as so many people are now wondering how 50% increment is possible when we are sitting in COVID, people are losing the job or people are not getting the pay cut, rather pay is being cut or the increments are not at that much. How would you actually describe your success in terms of what will you attribute to?
My main idea was to upskill myself during the time of COVID,
Uh-huh.
and then I looked at what can I do for upskilling. So knowledge is one part, but you need to have practical understanding of things as to how you work around in your surroundings. How do you work in your work environment? And that's where I was looking at something to improve my skill set, and I came across your course. Initially, I was skeptical as to how what will happen because I never done anything like that, and usually what happens is people tell a lot and doesn't follow through. But then I took a chance because these are the times when you can always take a chance because not much is happening in terms of career or things are down and you feel sad. So in COVID, when time was there at that point, about it's almost a year's time since I joined Career Acceleration Mastery, and then I started learning. Then I looked at your resume thing which you gave. I got my resume updated immediately, and then slowly built on the skills part. How do you develop network and all that I did. So things which I had known, but you need to formalize that. Somebody needs to guide you. That's where your course came into picture, and I started following those steps. So that's where it helped.
Very nice. So, help us understand in terms of the career acceleration mastery that you followed. What are the top three learnings that you could actually implement in your career?
So the first part was that you need to be updated about what's happening in the surrounding. For example, uh, your resume. You take a basic thing as a resume. We follow the old standard, but now the trend, the things have changed. So you need to be updated to that. So one is keeping yourself updated. Second is knowing, connecting with people. It's very important to connect with people, develop network, understand. Whom are the people or how do you connect with your net. We just assume that some connecting on LinkedIn is something which your connection, but that's not connection. Talking to people,
Absolutely.
understanding from, especially people who are better than you or higher than you,
Mm.
you need to develop understanding with them and do that work. So that is something. And most important, have a clarity of thought as to what you want to do. So
Excellent.
that's very critical as to, okay, I am here right now. Where do I want to go next? Where do I see myself in next few years? So if you just understand that and be patient, because if you have the skills and you know where you want to go and you update your skills, you will go somehow down the line. You will go there. Just be patient.
Very nice. Wonderful. And that's what we actually talk. I mean, nowadays we are not attending the master class, but we started with the theme called Take Charge of the Career. Because
Yeah.
if you do not take charge, somebody else play with you.
Hmm.
And that's what I believe in that. The clarity plays a very crucial role in this entire process. And when you start relationship building, that is how you achieve the most of the success. Now, help us understand how did you actually identify the opportunity? Because most of the people are not even receiving the call or anything is happening, not even within the organization, also they are getting struggle. So, how did you think that, okay, this should be my opportunity? These are the people I need to reach to. And how did you actually arrive there?
So this opportunity came up within the company. It's an internal role, but a different company within the company. So when the opportunity came up, first thing was look at the JD. So whether the skill mapping happens or not. So I just looked at the skill set which is required. Now the question was, I was handling a smaller region and this was a bigger region. So I had spoken to you some time back saying that I gave up one opportunity like that, thinking that I will not be capable or some
Capable.
doubt was there. Yeah, so then I took this risk. So I asked people, I asked my seniors, should I approach for this? And everybody was supportive. So they said, you should try. There's nothing wrong in trying. So then I applied for it, and then there were a few interview rounds which went through, and then got through that, and then negotiations were done, and then finally it got closed. It was a long journey in the sense it took a lot of time, but it happened. So this is how I came to know about it. This
Wonderful, wonderful. And what has changed in you as a person after going through CAM? And I understand that you had taken up the leadership as well. So, what was your experience through that?
Yeah, so one of the most important things is that it gives you a realization that you have the skills,
Mhm.
but you need to do something more, like in terms of, say, visualization or having clarity of thought or knowing how to go step by step. Those are the things which came across the course. So what I would say is, it's not that something I didn't know. In the sense, when you have worked in the career, you will know these things. It's just that you don't try to get somebody. That's where a coach comes into picture. He gets a skill out of you to, or reminds you that this is to be done. And these are simple things which needs to be implemented. So that's where leadership and career acceleration mastery came into. It gave a method to the madness. So so that method came into life because of this. So basic understandings which were needed clarity, that came through CAM, especially the leadership part, which was really helpful in getting that maturity in little thinking. It was always there, but it just honed that skill. So honing of the skill was more important, and this course kind of helps you in that.
Wonderful. So, help us understand. I mean, what are the two, three things that you kind of felt that the leadership would have helped you in this entire transition period as well?
So one is goal setting or goal thing, setting up your goals and doing that weekly, monthly goal thing. That is something become a routine, and that helps you break down things much more easier.
Mhm.
So it helps you then focus on the now, and then now what is to be done and what it is leading up to. So the goal setting worked, helped a lot. Then interaction with your teams and understanding how people how various leadership levels communicate. So your immediate boss tries to get information in a certain way. Your top boss needs information in a certain way. Your communication level has to be different with different people.
Different people, yeah.
Yeah, and third was that your leadership skills stand. So, what are your skill standards? What happens is, we try to become a leader or someone whom we see, but it's not necessarily us. So, we need to understand our inherent skills, that this is how I am as a person, and then my leadership skill will go up. Or then I grow up and think I can't be somebody else. I have to be
Absolutely.
myself, and that is what this course kind of, when you do the self evaluation and the thing, it gives you an idea of who you are and what kind of a person you are, and then you develop your skills on that. So that is what these major leadership points which I took up from the course.
Excellent. And has it helped you in your negotiation as well as the things like how to communicate with your CEO, CXOs, and your stakeholders?
Yes, it has helped. So now the communication, or when they ask a question, I know from what point of view they are coming from. That is more
Mhm.
important. My response then is tailored to what they are expecting. So when they say X, I understand now better that what do they mean by X, or which angle are they looking. So that clarity kind of comes in communication. Negotiations, CAM came in to help a lot because I followed that negotiation part very thing. So step by step how it is to be done, and it definitely helped. So
Very
there were a lot
nice.
of discussions, and the clarity of thought was very clear as to how this has to progress. So that helped in negotiation.
Wonderful. And so, what would you say somebody who is looking for maybe a career acceleration mastery, or maybe somebody is looking for the leadership? What would you say to them?
See, most importantly is when one, the course is worth taking. Like if you have apprehensions about it, especially the leadership one, I really liked because it was personal, small group, and we are still in touch. Like when I got this, I informed my group also about it, saying that this is what happened, and my group team member wanted to chat with me as to understand what is how did you do it. So that interaction still happens. So you come across people with different viewpoints. Second is that you get insights which you otherwise will neglect. So those insights are very important. Sometimes a third person needs to tell you. You will not be, because you are so much stuck in work, you will not be able to give that insight. A third party gives you a better viewing of that insight. So that is where your leadership program will come in. You will get that clarity, and implementation is the most critical part. You can learn everything in that day, but if you don't implement it, then it's not going to help in any way. So you can say that I learned, and somebody can come back and say it didn't help. You have to reflect whether did you implement it correctly or not.
Absolutely. And how do you see the role of a mentor or a coach in a mid career per se? Now that you have gone through both the programs with me, how do you see the role of a mentor or a coach?
It does help in the sense that what happens in mid-level careers is that we get into routine stuff, and we are so caught up in everything. There is work, there is family, there is financial pressures and all that. We don't understand certain aspects, or we are like blinded by all this. So sometimes a coach or a mentor or a third party is always helpful in just giving you an idea or a push. It's like they can't teach you the basic skills because you are way past that. They can tell you that how should you use that
Use
skill,
that
or
skill.
yeah, how do you move in which direction. That is where a coach or a mentor can come in, and it helps especially if you feel stuck in your career, because you may be not doing the right things and just wondering that where will I get the breakthrough, or the world is against me, or all the bad luck is with me. But it may just be the case that you yourself haven't looked at things correctly, and that's where a mentor comes in.
And how has been your overall experience in both the program per se,
It's
or the
been really good. Yeah,
community and everything?
it's been really good. A lot of questions come in and a lot of clarity comes in thought process. Different viewpoints come in, because when you are working in such a group, there are people of various diversity. Like in the sense, you may be 12 years, somebody is 20 years. You may be from one industry, somebody is from other industry. You are from sales, somebody is from production. So you see there are certain things in common and certain things which are different. So that diversity kind of helps you to get a bigger picture, and of course the points which come in through the course and how people enact things. When I was in the leadership group, there were people who were like doing it step by step very dedicatedly and doing things, and they were seeing the results immediately.
Absolutely.
So you kind of get inspired by them. So that's how it helps.
Wonderful. Very nice. And why do you see the role of a community which is kind of has to together? Like you learned a lot from the community as well, and the vice versa for them as well. So
Yeah.
how do you see the role going forward for the mid career?
uh, if if I have to understand, you're asking me like how will a community work or
So
community.
two things I'm asking. One is the when we are talking about as an individual in the mid career professional, like we employ work in silos,
Hmm.
right? Instead of that, there's a community which is kind of going in the same way, following the same principle. That is number one. And while we are getting into the mid career, we have a lot of other challenges as well. So, how do you see that mid career has to evolve? What are the 2 or 3 steps that they need to take? Maybe.
So what I have, my personal experience or personal encounters with people in mid career has been that yes, we they do work in silos, in the sense that we are very hesitant to communicate. Yeah, because people get scared, or they're fearful that they are less successful than the other person, and then they don't communicate, feeling that getting that feeling of failure. So one thing is that in a community you will overcome that fear of failure, because you will realize that most of the people are sailing in the same boat. And then you can always share experience and grow. So when you have a community of similar people or people with the same thought process, then it'll surely get you to one realization that you are not failing anywhere. You are just in a rut, and that rut is your choice to come out of it or not come out of it. And there are people to help you, and you just need to take that help. So such a community will surely help.
Okay. And do you also see that mid career per se the roles are now evolving in the industry, and there is a more and more need for the leadership as well?
Yes, current scenario is kind of changing everything in the sense that roles will be very different, and especially given the point that you may not go to office and you may have to sit remotely and work and still be able to drive things. So that is going to be a challenge for mid-career professionals, especially because they'll be expected to now bring in their knowledge or skill or level of understanding into the role while not talking to or seeing anybody there and sitting remotely. That
Absolutely.
becomes a challenge, and that is something which we have to get used to or have to develop the skill sets for that to handle things. uh, our sales is changing because people are not meeting us. Now we have to find out how to meet them. So that is an evolving thing which is happening right now. So things are changing. So you have to evolve. Change is the name of the game. Change is constant. So
Change is the only constant. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. And in that scenario, when we are changing completely, I'm just asking from the industry leader perspective from you. Do you realize that a person needs to be more self-aware in the process compared to what it used to be in an office environment where everything is going with the same function, same thing, and same routine kind of thing?
Yes, you self-awareness is very critical now in the sense that you need to be aware of one, your strengths, your capabilities, how you are going to enhance, because you will now come, many of us will now encounter isolation in terms of working space. And when you're working in isolation, self-awareness is very, very important because you could just get away with somebody else doing the work for you, or you trying to get things done while cajoling them and trying to work around. That is not going to happen. Now you have to have processes in place as to how you're going to do it. So that is something which will evolve. So you have to be very self-aware as to what you can do and what you cannot do, and you have to be very clear about I can progress in this way.
Wonderful. And just the last question, because you have transitioned from being maybe an individual contributor to a leadership role while handling the entire India. Now you are getting into the bigger role like an Asia specific, right? Now, uh, one thing which is more critical for people to understand when they are looking for such kind of growth path, right? Which they feel that it is not possible. What would you suggest them, that how can somebody who is looking for such a growth path, how can they actually design that growth path for themselves?
It's a tough one because my role was such that my company was pretty happy, or this company is very open to
Yeah,
moving people.
but your role was such that I'm sure you had a lot of contribution into it. It is not
Yeah,
just
yeah.
that they were happy just because you are
No,
there,
no, no.
right?
No,
Absolutely.
I went through a full process of interview. There's external
Absolutely.
candidates and internal candidates. It was
Wow.
not that it was just
Cakewalk.
internal candidate. Yeah, yeah. No, no,
Yeah.
it was not like that. So there were rounds of interview, and it was to one is, of course, you should know where you want to go. You should be ambitious. If you're not
Absolutely.
ambitious, then you will not go. Second is you should be aware of what's happening around you. And once you know where you want to go, then you should talk to people who are capable or who have done this. I spoke to a lot of people saying my seniors in my earlier companies, within the company. I spoke to people outside India. I asked them, did a lot of research saying that if I want to get in here, then what should I do? How should I prepare? What are the things which they
Absolutely.
look? When you are applying for such a role, what kind of response do people expect in a,
Expect.
yeah, in
Yes.
this kind of role? So that is something which I asked a lot of people, even at the point of like irritating them. I did ask them. So yeah, so that helped a lot, and
Yes.
that's where you realize that if you ask for help, people will help. So
Absolutely.
you may think that you are working isolation and nobody is taking care, but if you go genuinely, be genuine and ask them, so this is what I want to learn, people will help. In India, outside India, anywhere, people will help.
Excellent. Excellent. And the last one now. The last one I'm saying because I understand that you have gone through now this ladders of leadership, right? help me understand what is the criticality of a mentor and a coach at your position. Should it be an internal person you should be relying? Should you be relying completely on your own intelligence, or should it be somebody who can guide you from the third perspective?
If you frankly ask me, it's a mixture of everything. There is not like one solution for all. But
Agree.
yeah, for example, if I am to work in my domain
Mhm.
and in the industry, then I need somebody from the industry to help me understand how regions work.
Right.
Uh, but then if I am going as a leader, I need to bring my own skill set. Like I am going into that position, I need to have my own skill set. So that is where my own intelligence and my own understanding. That's by gaining knowledge, by reading, by
Absolutely.
listening, and all that. And when an external coach and mentor is to give a general perspective of how things overall work, because I may be stuck in my own domain. My domain not may not be what is happening across. It may be in isolation. So those points, somebody, a third person, needs to help us out in. And it's a combination of everything. It's not that there is one way of doing it. At different points, you will require mentorship of different kinds,
Absolutely.
and that is where you have to judge or decide on how to go forward.
Okay. So, can I say this that ultimately you will need to have certain mentorship in your life anyway,
Yeah.
right? For your own personal reflection, so that
Yes.
you can be true to yourself whether you are doing or going on the right path or not. Definitely, the functional perspective, you will need a different kind of a guidance, and your skill perspective anyway. You have to evolve if you are ambitious to go to the next level. That is
Yeah.
what I probably feel it. Excellent. I think I'm really, really happy for your growth, Kirtan, and thank you very much for coming on this. And I hope that I was able to add value to you as well as your career. And I'm hoping to add value to the rest of the mid-career leaders that are part of my community right now. Now we are 1,200 plus people, by the way, just
Yeah.
to let you know. So
No, I see that Telegram group growing and growing and growing.
so I hope that all of them listen to your interview, they learn from it, and probably take those actions which you have taken and become successful. So just to tell everybody that Girdhar is coming from a very niche industry. This is not a generic industry. Getting there successful itself require a lot of hard work, lot of courage, and lot of efforts, dedicated efforts for that. And that is where the Girdhar is probably now a rock star to actually help us understand that yes, this is the way we need to probably proceed in that particular organization. And
Yeah,
I'm
Rob.
very, very honored and proud to have you guys, because see, ever since I started Career Acceleration Mastery last year, so 2019 onwards, I think I have been very fortunate to have those people who are driven, who want to take charge, and they have taken the efforts. Even though, see, as a coach I can give you the guidance, but if you are not taking action, nothing is going to work for you.
Yeah.
That is very clear. So that is what I understand, that you guys were very particular about taking action, especially the leadership group were very much focused about it. And I'm very happy that a lot of people in the leadership group have got a lot of breakthroughs in the career acceleration mastery. So I'm really, really happy for you, and God bless you, and wish you all the best in your new role as well.
Thank you. The rock stars are too big a word. I'm just growing in my career. So yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks a lot. So
thank you.
thanks for all your help,
Yeah.
and we'll keep in touch.
Yes, thank you very much, Ketan.